So basically, I thought, let's kind of figure out where this came from. And I never really did the French thing. I did the Spanish Italian thing. So I was talking to some of my French speaking buddies and some of my teacher colleagues and thought, well, what do you know? What do you do? Because I've seen them do different things while we're busy doing Cinco de Mayo and having international festivals. They're doing king cakes and Mardi Gras. So what we found and what I kind of know, this is like all the little interesting fun facts. It turns out that like way back in March of 1699, which makes sense because you figure, generally speaking, Easter usually falls around March, April. Jean Baptiste, who has a really long name that I'm probably going to butcher, de Monsieur de la Bienville, is what we're going to go out of it. But the Jean Baptiste, I'm very, very confident in. Apparently showed up like 60 miles short of what is now New Orleans. And New Orleans was sort of the seat of Mardi Gras, still is the seat of Mardi Gras. And at some point, basically started talking about it and got involved in Louisiana turf. And when he got there, he eventually gets to what is now New Orleans and names it Fort Louis de Louisiane. So, of course, Louisiana, and it's very, Creole based and a lot of that steep tradition in there. So, 1703, not too long after, he develops this secret society to basically start the first Mardi Gras celebration, parade, tradition, whatever you want to call it, custom. And it takes till 1711 before they actually have a parade and do it. But then the secret society like forms out of that. From 1703, they decide to do it, and in 1704 they do that, and then they start establishing New Orleans itself in 1718. So that's sort of the really, really backstory as far as the country's concerned, and we're kind of a young country, so that's the backstory on the dates. However, way backstory in the BC turf really comes what I think is the crux of it, where you get the colors and the names and the gifts, etc. So when you're thinking about it, and again, this is kind of like Christmas bleeding into Lent. The three kings were named Melchior, Gaspar, and Balthazar, and the deal was obviously they were all from different turfs, got lost trying to find JC, following the star, whole nine yards, and that story. So Melchior was the Persian king, and his color was gold. And here's a shock, because he brought gold. That was his gift. And then Gaspar was the Indian king. He brought frankincense. His color was green. And Balthazar was the Arabian king, which they mentioned Macedonia specifically, but he brought myrrh, and his color was purple. Now, do you think it's an accident that gold, green, and purple are the Mardi Gras colors? No. But that's where I fall short, is that like kings come up because of pastries and tradition, but they don't really follow it through too much. And it's gone into like mad debauchery down in the Mardi Gras turf of Louisiana. But what it started out was a little cleaner. So basically, those were the three colors, kings, and gifts. They all play into this. And then there's a lot of spotty history here. So the theory behind some of the pastries and traditions come out of Europe. They morph into American things, no different than Halloween or any of the other things that we've done in the country. And they say 1730, Mardi Gras was really starting to be celebrated more officially than its earlier beginnings. And everybody kind of has their thing. So just some things throughout the cultures. So I know like the Germans, they say they have on Mardi Gras, they have Fasnachts, just a German word for basically a fried donut, that they could fill with a jelly or a cream or just deep fried donut. So they do Fasnachts. The objective was to have Fat Tuesday. You're going to eat a lot because you're supposed to, on Wednesday, fast, not eat meat, not eat meat on the 6 subsequent Fridays. It's a day of repentance. You're getting ashes, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, from where you start, you become. So everybody would just fatten up, because if they were going to go into Lenten mode, they were going to not eat as much, or deny themselves, give something up. A lot of people give up candies or chocolate. I know that it's probably mom's this year, since she's not allowed to eat chocolate right now, but I know it's a bummer. The king cakes this is kind of where we come into the educational realm of things. We've always seen that. It's been in our classrooms forever. So the king cakes was like a little teeny baby. Don't worry, no one cooked the real one, but they took a little teeny plastic figurine and they would stick that into a cake and bake it into a cake, typically with the three colors of green, gold, and purple. And they would give it out, and everybody had a treat on that day. And then whoever got like the baby, it was like you were king for a day, or you were lucky. And sometimes in the U.S., you'll see that same concept. They just use a jelly bean in lieu of a little plastic baby, I guess because it's edible, and you shouldn't really eat little plastic babies. But that whole idea, and then of having the king cake, really kind of started from Europe. Now, you would think I know the French do this, but the Spaniards do it in a bigger way. And they've always had the same concept of king cakes. But if you get the little baby in your king cake, then you're supposed to take it to church and it's blessed. And then you're also responsible for the seasonal end of the Christmas season party, which is always February 2nd. So they go from like mid-December until the 2nd of February. And there's many other traditions and things that go within that. But if you got that, it's like you're supposedly blessed, and then you take the little baby, which they actually go in and make a doll, and then that doll sits in the church and is also blessed, like a little larger than the little figurine. And then you're supposed to throw the big party for the end of the season. That's like your honor for getting that on the 2nd of February. And in the Spanish culture, a lot of times it's more like tamales. You're supposed to make tamales for everybody, and it's like your good luck tamale. You could obviously have other things, but that's what they do on that last day of the season. And kids aren't in school. It's a very big holiday time, so it's very different than the U.S. And a lot of people are off for weeks and weeks at a time. So that's kind of where that started from the Spaniard part of it. As far as the no meat thing, I only bring this up because I'm still bitter and I like meat. But had JC hung around with butchers, I think things would have been a little different. But he was fisher of men, so he hung around with a bunch of fishermen. So therefore, they were having a rough time and apparently approached him. I mean, I wasn't there, but that's what I'm hearing. And, said, hey, I can't really get a hold of the fish aren't biting. I don't know what to do. We have to sell our fish. Not as many people are buying it. And he was like, no problem. I'll hook you up. So basically, that's why people turn to fish instead of meat. And, it's more prevalent at the time. And it did help out the fishermen of the time. As far as the morphing into the secular, apparently in 1856, way later, a bunch of men gathered in a room to discuss a big Mardi Gras parade, and they called themselves the Mystic Crew of Comus, who apparently is the Greek god of festivities. And they decided to make Mardi Gras a huge thing. Again, New Orleans. What I find funny is that currently it is actually illegal to disrobe or wear a mask in New Orleans. We're in Louisiana. However, the masks, the exception is made for the masks on Mardi Gras. Not so sure about the disrobing part, but it seems that they go through with that anyhow. As far as the fleur-de-lis goes, this is a me thing. So literally meaning lily flower. The fleur-de-lis is pretty associated with New Orleans, with Mardi Gras, with the Creole culture. Obviously, the Saints uniform, the football team, and it's really like a three-pronged, often gold symbol. And even though it's supposed to represent a lily, in my head, of course, 3, lucky number, biblical number. You've got 3 kings. It is already gold. It's obviously French. So to me, that just all kind of morphs together, and you see that there as part of it. But, maybe not. Maybe it's just coincidence. But I find that, God's way of remaining anonymous is coincidence. So I don't know that that's necessarily true. But that's kind of the backstory that everybody may or may not know parts of it or the why. Certainly, it's a huge deal today. I mean, you could be in any city and have Mardi Gras and have no need to not necessarily celebrate anywhere you go. It's just a question of if you're in New Orleans, that's like the Big Easy, literally the main place that a lot of people want to go. And of course, down the French Quarter, you could see millions and millions of parades and bars and things that whole week. And it's otherwise, from what I'm told, pretty and kind of quiet when it's not that time of year. So I've never gone, but seen pictures and had friends go and said it was quite the raucous event. So that's what's going on secularly and where we think it came from in the church. I just thought it was interesting for that time of year. And it's one of those little fun facts that now you can tell at a cocktail party and feel very important. So hopefully you enjoyed our little tidbits today of some culture, custom, and mayhem, as it would be in the French Quarter. And of course, Creole based. So, the French, of course, colonized, and you get a little, I'll say, lesser from the French in the sense that it's not pure French people or pure French language, but just like you see your French Canadians and the Creole, you start to see morphs in the language, and you start to see dialects form, different words actually come out of it, and as in any language. So I'm just fascinated by that. But so that's kind of where that tradition came from. Now, where they got the crawfish, I don't know, but it's not my thing. Not a jambalaya fan. If you like this type of content, scare the like button into turning blue and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching.